Welcome back. Today I'll be showing you a game between Serafino Dubois versus Wilhelm Steinitz. Game goes with e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, knight f3, d6, bishop c5, the Go-Yo piano, castles, d6, and now bishop g5. Now here Steinitz plays h6, bishop goes back, and now g5, preparing to palm storm on the king side. Bishop g3, h5. Now here his opponent played h4, preventing, trying to blockade the continuation of the palm storm. So let's say if Steinitz were to have played g5, knight g5, and this would be actually better for him since now the pawns can't progress anymore, and now he's starting to counterattack. Also, if he were to just take, bishop takes, and again there's no more pawns to be able to be pushed to continue the attack. So here Steinitz plays bishop g4, c3, and now queen d7, preparing to queenside castle. Now here Dubois played d4. Now in principle, yes, if your opponent's king is in the center, you want to break open the center. But here it would have just been better to have waited queenside castle and then try to proceed to break open the center, or even knight b, rook comes over, and instead of just trying to crack through the center, he could have just tried pawn storming himself on the queen side. But he plays d5, d4, and now e takes c, and c5. Again, this doesn't seem to work out for him. Bishop takes, knight takes, knight takes. So you could take, but then it would just be a trade of queens. So he moves his queen out the way. Knight takes bishop, and now h takes, since now it'll be a lot easier for the rook to be able to use the h file. Now Dubois goes bishop d. In general rule, you have the open e file. You should have just taken advantage of that and just played rook e1. King will have to move over and would be safe on g7, while you'll still be able to take advantage of the h file. Of course, you could have also just bishop e, but eventually you'll have to move your king out the way since you won't be able to castle. You'll just have to march your king slowly to the other side. But his opponent played bishop d3, queen d5, and now b4. Now, here you could just move your bishop out of the way and still been able to queenside castle. But Steinitz decides to just sacrifice the bishop, since this h file is going to be very useful and hard to defend. His opponent just played c4, attacking the queen. Queen goes back, and now he takes the bishop. Now rook captures h, and now f3. Now here, Steinitz missed an opportunity to just play g3. This would have prevented White from being able to escape, and even if queen e1, there's a beautiful tactic of knight e4 to defend this pawn. Now if pawn takes knight, rook h1, king takes, queen h6, king goes back, and now queen h2 checkmate. Same if bishop takes the knight instead of the f pawn. Again, you still have a quick checkmate pattern here. But again, in here, Steinitz just doubled the rooks instead. Pawn takes pawn. Queen e8. Threat is rook check. King comes over. Queen will be able to deliver checkmate. But his opponent just played Queen e2. A missed opportunity would have been bishop check. King moves over. Rook e1. Using the rook to guard the e square. And queen would just move out the way, and this would have been a better way for white to be able to defend, but he played queen e2 and not the, and now Steinitz, instead of not taking, which would have been fine, played queen e3. Obviously white has to take, takes back, and now he's using the e pawn to guard the f2 square. g3, king rook 1 h1 check, king g2, and now rook 8 to h2 check, and now rook captures, bishop captures, and now rook f2, forking king and bishop. King takes pawn, rook takes bishop, a4, trying to develop his rook. King comes in. It is an endgame, so you do want to get your king into the center. King moves over. Knight takes pawn. Rook comes up. King comes over. Obviously, you want to get your rook to b2, so you can move your knight or your rook without losing one of them. But knight e3. Rook gets out the way. He gives up the knight. Rook check. Rook over it now. Here, Steinitz could easily save his knight, and he would have been completely fine in this endgame, but one thing he decided was being able to trade off all the pieces. Since in this position where Dubois resigned, this is an easy winning endgame. Since it doesn't really matter, let's say king d3, you're just going to pick off the pawns. And eventually you're just going to push f, and if he trades, he's going to have to go over to the king side to take the pass pawn, and Steinitz will be able to easily pick off the c and a pawn, and he'll have 3 pass pawns. So his opponent resigned instead of trying to go through all of that. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day.